right
Yeah, so
before
he
we
said it
went to
was
Morocco,
poisoned. Yeah,
and I was
Yeah,
scared to
I
even
heard that.
Corey
tackle
too
him.
talking about, oh, they poisoned him. Nigga, ain't nobody care about you.
Yeah, but we should move on.
Think
I want
about
to
you,
talk
man.
about this. This is like the big topic I want to bring up is the Jordan documentary. So for
Oh,
those that
that was
don't know,
good.
on
I haven't
ESPN,
seen it yet.
yeah. Oh,
I
you
thought
haven't seen
is
it?
it on Netflix?
No,
No,
it's on
Oh.
ESPN.
ESPN.
Yes,
It's
yeah.
on ESPN. Okay, so I won't ruin anything for you, but let me just give you like a preview of what they're showing. They're giving us it's called The Last Dance, and it's pretty much chronicling when Jordan got in the NBA until his very last game in the NBA, from like I think that was 1997/1998
Yep.
NBA season. And you know, this guy is great, man. Like
Oh yeah.
he's almost bigger than life. Like when the way they talk about him, he had 2 presidents on this documentary, and they didn't even introduce them as presidents. They introduced Obama as former Chicago resident. They introduced Bill Clinton as former Arkansas governor, and I think they did that on purpose to show how bigger than life this guy was. This guy was everyone's hero, to the point that there's a phrase called "he's the Michael Jordan of." You
Yep.
know,
Yep.
you hear he's the Michael Jordan of baseball. He's the Michael Jordan of music. He's the Michael Jordan of the rap game. I mean, his name has become synonymous to greatness.
Greatness. Yep.
But this documentary, I think, is going a little bit into the personal, because not a lot of people. He's a very, very. Have you noticed he's not
It's
he's not a
private.
figure that's very out there
Yeah,
like
out
that.
there. Yeah.
Even though he's making billions of dollars. I mean, his Jordan brand is worth over $3 billion, right?
Mhm.
Nike brand, the Nike shoe brand, is worth like 1 point something billion. That just to put it in perspective, like his shoes have sold way more than Nike. Like that's how big of a figure he is.
I
And
mean,
of course,
he's Michael Jordan.
he's worth billions of dollars. But then there's something to the madness, man. There's something to this man. There's a dark side that I feel like this documentary is slowly getting into.
And he
there,
said
you know,
it.
there have been rumors out there, and I'm going to throw some of those rumors that have been out there, like a little dark side. And someone else brought this up, so don't put this on me. The person is on the screen, probably on my left, but the person brought it up,
Oh, me?
and the person claimed,
Me?
no, I thought it was Danny that brought it up.
Oh, okay. I was
Or
like,
was it Wale that brought it up on the
well,
text?
let's say it was Danny.
Don't
Not really sure
blame me.
where this is
There's
going, but it was
rumor out there.
it was
There's
me.
this
It was
rumor
me. It
out
was me.
there
It was
that
me.
oh, it was
me.
Wale. Okay, all right, it was Wale.
Let me say the rumor before you misquote me,
Okay,
because
all
that
right.
nigga, somebody
I
that
just want to
says
yell something out.
fuck them kids,
It's
you know. I
powerful,
don't
man.
know how that nigga gonna do with me if he sees
It's
this.
powerful.
But
He has vices.
they
Definitely.
so
Advices.
if you look at the interviews of some guy called Michael Franzese, who's his father was an underboss in the mafia, and he also worked for the Colombo family back in the days. So like, he's an actual mafia guy, and he spoke about how they were into stuff like how they used to basically the mafia controlled everything. One of the things they controlled was sports betting at the time, and a lot of people used to throw away games because they were old bookies. They weren't making as much money as they were now. That so like, you know, a lot of drug guys even back then too, they had the opportunity of playing basketball, but when you hear how much they were making, they were like, what the hell, that's too small. They weren't making a lot of money, and they had gambling issues. So a lot of them will go to loan sharks, borrow money, and there's a rumor from him that MJ owed some people money,
Yep.
and that's part
He had the serious gambling problem, and then his father gets murdered. And there was always speculation if one had something to do with the other. From what you know,
Again, I don't have firsthand knowledge of this, but being that I was working with the NBA at that time, I was told 2 things. One, that he was told to leave the NBA around the time that his father got murdered, because stories were about to come out, and there was a lot of heat on the fact that because of Michael's gambling habit, his father paid the price. And the NBA didn't want the press, so they asked him to leave for a while. And that's when he went to play baseball. And then when things settled down, he came back. The plan was always, from what I was told, for him to come back. Now, again, I heard this from a source I believe was pretty knowledgeable, somebody I knew pretty well inside the NBA. So for me, it's secondhand information, but I thought it was reliable. And then putting it all together, knowing that, Michael did have this gambling issue, that is very possible that that could have happened.
So you're saying there's a strong possibility that his father was murdered because he wasn't paying back his gambling debts.
I don't know. Again, I can't be specific. I don't know if it wasn't paying back. I don't know what, again, the specifics of it were. But I was led to believe that it had something to do with his gambling problem.
Okay.
Exactly what, I don't know. And honestly, I didn't care enough to look into it.
Okay. But the guys who killed him got caught and sentenced.
From what I heard, yeah.
He doesn't say he was involved
All
in it,
alleged.
but
All
it's an
alleged.
alleged rumor, And he also says the gambling debts also probably played an issue to why he left basketball.
Yes.
Went to
So
baseball.
for those that don't know, this is well documented. MJ is known to gamble a
Yeah.
lot. And
Yep.
they said that it
Mhm.
wasn't just like casino gambling. Like he will gamble on like dumb stuff. Like he will gamble
Yeah.
in the locker room, he will gamble on golf. Like pretty much he turned everything into a bet. That's how competitive this guy was.
And since he was been in the NBA, it's hard for him to. So they said the gambling, they used to have them throw games, but when you're in the top league, it's kind of hard for you to throw a game because they will notice.
About Jordan. If you
So-
watch if you watch
yeah.
the documentary, and I'm sure Yeti can attest to this, Jordan never threw any games.
Exactly. So
No.
he probably couldn't do it to pay
Every
back.
game.
Do you get?
Even when his team was trying to tank so that they could
He
get a
threw,
good
yep,
lottery
yep,
pick,
yep.
he used to be
Yes.
pissed.
So
Like,
that's
can you
yeah.
imagine how obsessed you have to be with winning? That this guy had like a tear, right? Do you remember what kind of injury it was? Yeti? He
It
had like
was
a really, really bad.
no, he broke his leg.
He broke. Yeah, he pretty much broke his ankle or something, and
It
he
was
wasn't.
the shin bone he broke.
Yeah. He wasn't supposed to play the entire season. This guy went. He went to his local gym, and he first started playing
Behind the
one-on-ones.
team's back.
Behind the teams, but he started playing one-on-ones. He progressed to 2-on-2s until he started playing 5-on-5s, and then he went back to the team and he was like, "Look, I've started playing 5-on-5. I'm ready to play." Like that's how competitive. I don't know anyone in sports that is as competitive as this dude. The only person I
I
can
mean,
think
obviously, he
of,
has the
maybe
ethic.
Kobe, but
And that's
No,
who
come
Kobe
on.
modeled his game after.
You're talking about in
Yes.
basketball. We
Yeah.
have other sports. You
Yeah.
have Ronaldo,
perhaps
soccer. These
But
people
that's
are.
who Kobe
Ronaldo is
modeled his
obsessive too.
game
Ronaldo is
after.
obsessive. If you
He's
talk about his
obsessive.
ethic, a lot of people tell you, he's one of the most hardworking people. Spend hours. Like even his teammates would tell you, and it's just sidetrack that they hate going to his house because what you eat in his house is healthy diet food, and then after you eat, you go work out. So like they'll tell you they didn't even like to go visit him because on their off day, you go visit him, you're going to eat a very strict meal and then go work out. It's like, guy, I'm on my off day now. So, there are players like that around. Looks like MJ was one of them. But the
Yeah.
gambling
So
thing-
continue the gambling stuff.
yeah, so he said, in the NBA, it's hard for people to throw away games and stuff like that. So I guess maybe he couldn't pay back. But then, I guess whoever he took the loan out from to teach him a lesson, his dad was shot, right? He was murdered.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they said, it probably was them who did that to his dad, and him leaving the NBA to go to MLB was probably like a deal also done because of they also
For those that
knew
don't know, there was a time MJ took a break
took
from
a break from
basketball, and he took
went to play
a break from
baseball.
basketball at the peak of his first
Yeah,
Yep. And went to
three-peat run.
baseball.
he went to
And he
baseball.
went to
Yeah.
baseball. And the rumor is that the league caught him
The
gambling.
league,
But
yes. So
he was too big of a figure at the time. I mean, this guy was probably the biggest name in the world.
they probably
only-
felt
the
let's
only name
let's take you away
that-
for a little while. And bring
Yeah,
you
the
back.
only name that could come close to his at the time was the other MJ, Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson.
Okay.
And I think they tried to take him out, and then I guess they brought him back because look, there's no way they were gonna.
Yeah, so they said
sell him.
he claims the league probably knew about, and you should see his interview. It was on Vlad TV, Michael Franzese, and he's been talking a lot about, a lot of stuff he's done, how he duped the government and stuff, how the government stole his money and they haven't returned it and stuff like that. And, but he does talk about the gambling and how they actually owned Like when I mean own, it didn't mean they didn't physically own it, but they had like 2 New York-based teams on their payroll. But he wouldn't say what sport it is and what teams it is.
Wow.
But like they had them on their payroll. You know,
there is something to be said about these figures that are so competitive and that
But
are.
so Jordan was apparently, he said this documentary is gonna make people hate him.
people already, you know, fuck them kids, man.
So apparently they've been, but you know they've been sitting on this documentary for
For a while, right?
Let me
Now.
pull a Corey for the people who don't know what "fuck them kids" is referring to. Refers to when Jordan played against a bunch of kids, and did he play against them? I think, and basically, if he lost, whatever it was, I think it was a shooting competition or a dunk, whatever it was. If he lost, the kids would get free Jordans, and he didn't lose. And they said he
was
murmured,
dunking
"Fuck
on
them
these
kids."
There's one story of him and
So-
Iverson. I think Iverson was like, you know, Iverson was one of my favorite players now. But anyway, Iverson was one of Jordan was Iverson's idol, and I think Iverson got a chance to play with him at one point, and they started talking smack. And by the time the game was done, MJ was like, "Yeah, that's right, you little bitch." Like, and then Iverson was like, "Wait, this is my idol. Like, what the heck?" I think there's something to be said about personalities like that, and I don't know what it is, but whenever there's someone that's like extra great at something, there's always this dark side, and I don't know. And same thing goes with even billionaires.
Yeah.
People like you hear about people like
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, who had this dark side.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get to where you are without being a shrewd business person.
You have to be what they call that
Without
that
stomping
behavior.
on some heads too. Probably type A or something.
Type A personality.
You gotta, yeah.
There's just something about that I
You
don't know what it is.
become a billionaire by being friends with everybody.
No, you don't. You don't.
I
You
mean,
gotta
this
step
is what
on
makes
a
you
few
stand
heads.
out. So you have to have things that drive. I mean, Kobe was that same way too. You know, R.I.P. my man Kobe.
Michael Jackson was the same way too. You can
Kobe
argue.
is the first person you find in the gym. You know, and you're thinking, this guy, what's going on? Now you already won it all, but he's
Yeah, they
there.
said the same thing about Oprah. Like, you don't become as great as you are at the top of your field by being nice. That's just how it is.
About Oprah? I wonder what they have to say
I
about
was gonna say, I never
what-
heard that
I
about
wonder-
Oprah.
Maybe she was the first person. Maybe she's always
Because
writing.
Beyonce
stuff.
too, she's at the top of her craft. And there's something to be said about
Corey
that
wants to
level of
get
greatness.
somewhere. Yeah, I see what
Go
you're
ahead,
saying.
finish
about
what
Beyonce.
I'm not gonna
Something
take
to
the bait.
There's something to be said about that level of
So,
greatness.
okay, let me use, since we're in sports, I'm sure Serena is probably that way too.
Yeah, why
So,
not?
yeah, she's probably that way
to an
too.
extent.
To
Probably
an extent, she's probably is
Yeah.
where
They
she's.
probably just keep their circles really small.
Yeah,
Right.
you know, I mean, you
And so
have
people
to,
just take that as off-putting because they assume that you should be welcoming to them.
I mean,
That's,
you know,
that's not the case all the time.
ethics,
Or
drive.
warm.